Hi folks, I'm Jan from Sew It Online, and I'm going to review for you today one of my favorite sewing machines. This is a product by Janome. I just took it out of the box. I'm opening it up. Now, the machine's been out for a while in different versions basically. Let me tell you all about it. The reason why I like it is going to be quality features on the inside that I can explain to you, but also sewing features out here that's going to make your job of sewing and quilting, especially if you get into everything. I might do porch cushions, I might do fixing a sleeping bag for my grandson. You never know what's going to hit me, but I'll tell you what I want is I want it to be able to go through it, and I don't want it to fight me 1 ounce of the bit. 1 ounce. Don't put up with that stuff. So you know how it is on your machine. No more. Now let me tell you some of the features that I like the most about it that are pretty easy to do. The lid is going to open up. My thread is secure underneath so it's not tramping all over. I do like that I can open the side. It's just a nice thing to be able to see if I got a thread caught in there. What I'm doing is it's a nice feature. It does have an open arm, so this is going to come off. I've got an attachment tray here. They all just got opened up, so I haven't taken all the presser feet out of the box, but we'll go over those in just a couple minutes and put them away. But I'll tell you what's the greatest. First of all, let's put the bobbin in. So I'm going to just open this little lever up. It's going to take off my stitch plate that's got marked with my 1/4 inch, my 1/2 inch, all my measurements for me. I'm going to watch real closely now, and I'm going to put the bobbin in. Underneath there's a little spring right there. Come on over here and it's going to cut off. No longer are you bringing your thread tails up. No longer are you holding your threads in the back for dear life so it doesn't jam up. Greatest feature. So it's a full rotary. It's a metal hook, meaning the bobbin goes into a bobbin case. You can see that part. Underneath here is a hook, and it's a hook that goes all the way around in a circle. So it's taking that thread from down here. The hook is grabbing it and pulling it all the way around. Commercial machines, heavy duty machines, have to have a full rotary hook. The trick with this one, it's a full rotary metal hook. There's so much stuff out on that market now that is all plastic that is going to break on you and give you headaches. But this is what is required to sew through my heavy denim, to sew through my quilt batting, to give me gorgeous free motion. These are the features that are needed. So now we're going to put this right on back on there, and I'm ready to sew. To thread the machine, you'll learn in your class. We do teach classes with everything that we show you and sell, and there is a full class lineup. That's a lot of it as I've done, and let me tell you, there's no reason why you don't know how to do every tiny little thing you'd ever want to do, from sewing on buttons to hooks and eyes on the machine. I've got tricky ways to do blind hem that is invisible on doing all your handwork, like on a cuff or the back of a collar. A lot of people do it for their binding. A lot of cool things you're going to learn in classes. But let's go over the threading real quick. It is marked for me. There's 1, 2, 3. It's very simple. But you're not going to have to turn your hand wheel up. You're not going to have to fight it at all. And then we're going to come on down here to a very needed needle threader. Whenever you have a needle threader on the machine, take your needle up and needle down and make sure it's in the proper position. And we're going to bring this lever down, slide it over, and pull it through. And watch what you're doing. And let's pull it. There's a little click there to pull it right through. See that little click that I didn't have it on the first time? Lift up your presser foot, pull my threads through. Now, do I need to go get my bobbin thread? Absolutely not. Fun, fun, fun. And actually, you can cut this off right here, and you'll have just enough thread to create your stitches without having to pull around. Now, let's go over the basics of the machine a little bit. I want you to understand what these things are for. Because in my opinion, the quality on the inside of the machine and some of these functions right here are far, far, far more important than these functions here. So let me explain to you why and what I'm talking about. Number one, I got a throat presser lifter, and I can lift this up even higher. Do you see how much I've got underneath there? That's one of the features on the machine that is mandatory to me. I just had to do my husband's leather jacket, believe it or not, he just bought, and he ripped the cuff. How, I don't know. But I was going through 6 layers of leather at one time. My little baby went right through it. So let's show you. So my presser foot can go up. That's a real important feature for me. See, I can even get it up if I was working on one of these rugs and I wanted to get more underneath there. See how easy that is? So that's a very nice feature to look for. Now, I want to explain these buttons to you. Number one, I can either use a foot control as what I'm used to doing, so that if I want to sew, I've got my foot control. But I also can just use the stop-start button. And this is the new way of working, so that without a foot control, let's unplug the foot control for just a minute. Old habits die hard, so it depends upon you if you're going to go with a foot control or if you're going to go with a start-stop. But the stop-start, in our next generation, there won't be any foot controls. I'm sure it's all going to be done right here with your hands. Now watch how my hand is doing all the jobs for me. So let's go through. Let's reverse and just sew. Reverse, stop. Got it? Just like normal. So very, very easy, just like you're used to being able to do. I hope you can feel the power of the machine. So now what I want to do is learn to use these a little bit. I'm going to slow down just for camera's sake. I'm going to start the machine. And I'm going to use needle up, needle down. I'm going to stop, and the needle will stop in the down position. I can lift this up, keep going. Stop. It will stop in the down position. I can tell it to stop up, or I can tell it to stop down. Now what do you want that for? Because you're sewing a zipper down and you're going down here and you want to stop and turn to here and you want to go back up. And many times when you've done that on your old machine, it missed a stitch, it missed a stitch. What the needle up, needle down does is the needle stops when the stitch is completed, meaning all the way down at the proper point, so that that stitch is completed, so you never have a missed stitch on a collar, on a seam, on your when you're going around quilting. It never messes you up. So, but it stops in the down position so that you can go and you can pivot to be able to do with it. So you can just pivot to go to the next step. Greatest thing that any quilter or anybody in sewing could possibly want. The needle up, needle down is allowing you, if you were sewing pieces like this together or jelly rolls together, that you're able to stop, reconform where you're going, keep on going. That's a feature that's been around for a long time. I have a daughter that if that isn't on the sewing machine she's using, you might as well quit asking her to sew when she's 30 years old. It's just something you get stuck on. That where's that button? Where's that button? So you'll get real spoiled. Now my favorite feature is scissors. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start sewing. I'm going to go to the end. I'm going to keep my hands out of here so you can see. I want to reverse. I want to stop, but I want to cut. Now, it cut my threads for me, and I don't have to cut them. I don't have to hold on to my threads the next time. So watch what's going on now. They cut my threads. I didn't cut my threads. I didn't do anything. It gave me a little tiny 1/4 of an inch down there. Now, here's the greatest thing ever. I'm going to put my fabric back in because I'm doing from a jelly roll to a jelly roll, or my piecing of my strips. I'm going to start sewing. If I want to reverse, I can. Keep sewing. And I'm going to go off over here a little bit just to save us a little bit of time. Saying I'm ending right here, so watch. I am now going to reverse. I'm going to stop, and my hand reaches up here to cut. I can lift my presser foot up. Done deal. You don't know how wonderful it is. It's one of the greatest things they've ever put on a sewing machine, and you will get very, very spoiled really, really quick. However, I want you to take my classes on these machines because it's got a lot of goodies on it, and you don't want to have a wonderful machine like this and not get the classes. So it's the worst thing in the world to use 1/10 of it. All right, let me tell you what else, my next favorite feature. I'm going to put my presser foot down, and I'm still going slow for this purpose of video, but let's say I want to stop right here where that little point is. So I'm going to stop right there. But that exact spot, it stops on a dime and knots. Reach up, you got it, and I can cut it, and it's going to cut my threads for me. Now, stopping on a dime, why do you want that? Oh, when you go to half square triangles, when you want to finish something, but you don't want to have a reverse there, when you're bar tacking into a seam, putting in a different sleeves, you can just stop exactly where you want to stop. There's been time you top stitched and you didn't want to have to reverse there because we didn't want that look. This does an automatic knot for you automatically, perfectly, every single time. So you can kind of see now why this right here is here. And you notice of what I'm sewing, I am one-handed and I'm able to control everything right here. So again, I'm just starting it, my reverse, my needle up, needle down, my stopping on a dime, and my famous cutter right here, and it's there. Now cutters aren't cutters. There's a lot of sewing machines out there now, but might have a whole lot of electronics on it and might have a cutter, but let me tell you, cutters are not cutters. You have to buy a quality sewing machine to go along with it, or you're just buying a lot of doodads with a piece of junk is what I call it. And be careful, they're all out there. They're all out there and very, very frustrating once you get them and you don't enjoy sewing. I tell my folks, come on in and let's get you a quality machine, a good metal head that will be in your household for the next 20 years, and then start adding the goodies that you might want to buy. So what we got here on this one is we do have the open arm. We have a bigger opening than normal. A normal opening at one time was 5.5. We're up to an 8.5 inch opening here with a bigger opening here also. Did you notice all the LED lighting that's inside the machine? It's here and here. So that's really great. You don't have to change the light bulbs, but it does give it a ton of lighting right down here on your work, right here and here, right here on your work. So before we used to only have one here, it never showed us over here, so that makes a really big difference. There's 7 basic stitches that I tell everybody to buy on a sewing machine. It's your tri-motion overcast, your stretch straight, your blind hem, your mending, your zigzag. Those features are going to be on a quality machine like this. Going to have them, and it's going to do it all. But it's also going to do a lot more fun things. If you look up here, these are really cool, and you'll learn them more in your classes, but they even have cross stitches built in. It's got darning stitches built in, but these stitches right across here are actual quilt stitches. Let me grab another piece of fabric to make it show up for you, and we'll do one. But it makes it look like it was hand sewing that our grandma used to do. But now we have so many cool threads and yarns and wonder threads that are out there that we can use in this Janome. The Janome can handle heavier threads. That's another thing that's my favorite, because I like a heavier thread when I top stitch and a longer stitch. This machine can handle it where one step down is not going to be able to. So you always get what you pay for, but it's really, really important. So I'm just going to go to stitch number 37, so all I'm going to do is to push 3, 7, and I have my stitch. I can just push my start stop button. But what you're watching here, I'm going to speed it up so it comes through faster. These are quilt stitches that we used to do by hand. We now have fun stitches over here that sew your binding on, and it's called a serpentine stitch, and it's really, 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 really cool. So now you got one of these, but let's stop it for a second, and let's go over to, let's do, it's not going to show up very well. I'm going to do 39. We have some that are triple threaded. If you notice, that one went over everything twice. This is only going to go over it once. We will teach you to do invisible appliques with these so that no stitching shows on the outside at all. There's reasons for these stitches. It isn't Grandma's Day where we had little doggies go on down. These stitches are called tri-motion, and they're going through. You can use heavy threads. You can use on this Janome, you can use heavy threads in your bobbin, and your bobbin will work absolutely beautifully. You'll learn that we twist on some wonder threads, some fun threads on a bobbin, and then turn upside down, and it looks like crewel work that used to be done by hand. So there's a lot of growth room with this machine. It's a machine that's going to be in your household for 25 years, quality-wise. No doubt, someone will be taking it to college. It'll be around forever and ever and ever. You won't outgrow this machine unless you want a bigger opening, a bigger machine. You want more. Maybe you'll get an embroidery machine. I really suggest that this is a great machine to get started with, as well as not as a beginner, as someone who's been sewing for a while, or just wants a machine that's going to last a long time. It's giving you all the features that you need to sew through whatever fabric you want to put underneath here. This machine is going to sew it. So let's look at some of the feet that come with it, because it is quite a value for all that you get. I'm going to put it on here. Hopefully it'll show up. And I didn't open these up ahead of time, but they do all go in these little containers for you to have it. It does come with a wonderful one-step buttonhole. The buttonhole foot will come in your classes and we'll teach you, but this, you're going to put the button right in here exactly where you want it. So whatever size button goes in here, and it measures every single one. Now look at all this contraption. Do you know why that is? So that both sides of the buttonhole come out exactly perfectly, and they end at exactly the same size, whether you're making one buttonhole or you're making 20 buttonholes. So like anything in life, you can get a lot of sewing machines, you can get a lot of features, but without good quality stuff, it doesn't make a lot. Now this isn't of real expensive machines. Sewing machines now go up to $15,000, $18,000. So I'm in beginning mid-range is what I would call it. The reason why I like it so much is because I would call it the baby of the top of the line. Now what that means is whether I buy this one or a $4,000 or a $6,000 machine, the motors are the same, the hooks are the same, solid state electronics is the same. You're going to get more features on it, but this gives you a lot of growth room. So that's why it's one of my favorite ones. Look, it comes with a walking foot. The walking foots are always $49 to $69. It comes with it. Comes with the wonderful buttonholer. I even noticed someplace here, it comes with a straight stitch plate. So do you see how it's only got one hole there? Can you see that? What that does is that we're just going to replace it with this plate. So let's take this off. Now this might be your selling point. If you're a sewer and you had to take your needle plate off, it was always a major big problem. But look here, I got a little button right here, and all I do is push this button and I can take this off. Remember, I can lift this up higher and I can take this off. So what's the value of that? I can keep my machine clean. What a joy that'll be. It isn't that the sewing machines need to be tuned up often. It's the sizing of our threads that give our machines grief. So I could put this one on that easily. Now why do I want to change? You've been using yours all your life. You don't need a new one. If you look here, the stitches are a 9mm stitch. That means the decorative stitches are going to be prettier than anything on the market. This has only got a one hole. So what we use the one hole for is when we do quilting and different things with straight stitching, and you want the most precision straight stitch you can get, right? You want it precision, boom, 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 boom. So that's what you want. A straight stitch plate is always going to do a better job than a regular plate. And the reason for that is because there's room in here. Can you see right here, right here to here? That allows for our zigzag to go over, right? How wide of a zigzag we can do. So that makes a really wonderful addition to your machine. They're another $45 usually. So I'm going to put this back on and show you the other reason why at this price point for this machine, what a value it is, quality-wise, you cannot beat it. I will tell you, feature-wise, you also have, and I'm going to go to a plain old zigzag to show you this, because if you're shopping for a sewing machine, it's very, very important to know. So I'm going to go up here to stitch number 11. So all I have to do is to come here and to go to 1, 1. Now, if you can zoom in here and see this, or when you get your own machine, you can go here and it tells you what presser foot to use. So we get all these presser feet, but then, oh gosh, I don't know which one to use when I use an overcasting stitch. Do you know enough to pull out the overcasting foot? It's going to make your job easier. You don't slice a tomato with a big butcher knife, right? You bring a knife down to the job you want to use. It's the same thing with your sewing machine. So I just went to a zigzag, so I'm going to start my machine. And I can go over here and I can change the width. So I can do it while I'm going to slow it down again. And I'm going to change the width on my machine. And notice I can go all the way up to 9. Do you see what the difference of this zigzag is coming on down here? So as you go into different values of sewing machines and compare the different models, the width of the needle, meaning the width of the throat plate from here to here, as I was showing you, lets the needle go from here to here. So what does that do for you? It allows you to have the most gorgeous decorative stitches on the market to be able to do them. Your blanket stitches are going to be bigger. Your buttonholes. Now just think of buttonholes. When you do a buttonhole now on your machine, you usually get one side width to be able to go down. And so your buttonholes can be kind of skimpy when you go try to put them on a jacket or a blazer. When you go to the wider width of a 9mm, and that is the widest that's on the market right now, you're going to be able to make a wider buttonhole so that the bigger, thicker button comes through. And the buttonholes, we don't want to seep down into your work. We want to stand up on them. We will teach you how to cord your buttonholes on with this foot that comes with it in all of your classes. So the width of the zigzag allows you the width of the lettering and the width of your decorative stitches. So let's just go get one decorative stitch. So I just have to go to mode 2 because these stitches over here are in mode 2, and I'll just do one fun one. 23 seems to be very popular later. Do you see how it came up on a 9mm width? It came up with presser foot A. I'm going to start it because it takes a while. But as I'm talking here, I can change my width and length right here. I can program my cutter. I can do a lot more on the machine than what I can show you in 15 minutes. I only talk about quality features here. I'm going to stop this. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to cut. And then you're going to be able to see my stitches. But do you see how much more pronounced they are? When you get into our decorative stitches and our classes that teach you what all these stitches are for, you're going to be really happy you have that machine. And this is just a regular Gutermann thread, but when I use my heavy threads, it makes a really, really, really big difference as to how gorgeous the samples are. So again, the S5 is one of my favorite machines because it never gives you hassles. There's nothing doodads on it, what I call it. I call it just high quality features that the normal sewer, quilter, upholsterer needs. It's strong. It'll go through anything you give it, and I will end with showing you. I'm going to go back to a straight stitch. So guess what? I go back to mode 1, right? And there is my straight stitch. So all I have to do is sew. I'm going to slow it down. Oh, I got done the wrong. Better put my glasses back on. So I want stitch 02. So all I have to do is to go to mode 1, and there it is. It's all set up for me as soon as I go to mode 1. So now watch what I want to show you. I'm slowing it down. I'm going to double this up. So now I'm on 4 layers of denim, right? Go a little bit. I'm going to stop it. I'm going to double it again. I'm going through 8 layers of fabric. I'm not going to go 100 miles an hour. It's easy to go 100 miles an hour. It's hard to go 1 stitch at a time. So let's go backwards. So come on around. You can see what I'm going through. That's why I like this machine. Remember, it's the baby of the top of the line. So if you add another $500, you're going to get a few more features. You add another $500, you're going to get more, and you add another $2,000, of course you're going to get more. For the everyday seamstress, the everyday quilter, this is a really great buy. Hope you consider it.